Okay, we're going to read along with Mr. T. Here we go, guys. You're gonna read along with me, and then you're gonna answer some questions on a Google form. Okay. So, our nation's government. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So over here we have our sidebar. So we have our vocabulary. Well, first it asks, what are the parts of our national government? You know that. Judicial, legislative, and executive, right? Vocabulary: United States Constitution, Senate, House of Representatives, United States Congress, United States Supreme Court, court, jury, and then Washington, D.C. Now they're lit up in blue, so when you see them over here, um, you'll know that you're coming up on some of your vocabulary. And good readers are going to write that stuff down, right? Good readers do that. All right, let's get to it. It says, these words are probably very familiar to you. When you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you make a promise. You are promising to be loyal to the United States and support our country's government. Our country's government, also called the federal government, is based on the United States Constitution. The Constitution explains how the government should be set up. For example, it divides the federal government into three branches according to the idea of checks and balances. How our national government works. In some ways, the national government is similar to our state government. It has three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. It also uses tax money to pay for its services. However, many of the things the federal government does are things that states can't do. For example, it uses money or it issues money. It sends up rockets and declares national holidays. It supports national parks like the Grand Canyon and important national sites like the Washington Monument and the Statue of Liberty. The national government runs the Postal Service and the National Weather Bureau. It helps the states to rebuild after floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes. It's the United States government that makes agreements for trade with other countries like Japan and Mexico and China. It also has offices in other countries to help American citizens who are visiting there. One of its more important duties is to keep an army and navy to protect the United States and its allies during times of trouble. I was in the Navy. And here's a postal service worker in the Washington Monument, right? The three branches of government. Our national government is located in Washington, D.C. Each branch of government has different duties, shown on the chart on page 329. Let's look. We have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Executive, the president, carries out the laws, meets with leaders of other countries, and leads the military. The legislative, Congress, 100 senators and 435 representatives, makes laws for our country, decides how much money to spend. And the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, 9 judges, makes sure the laws follow the Constitution, right? The president, the head of the executive branch, is the president. The president is elected every 4 years. It is the president's job to make sure that the laws passed by Congress are carried out. The president chooses people to head national departments in charge of areas such as transportation and energy. The president also is head of the country's military forces. So you can take a look at the infographic on page 330 and 331 for information about the 8 Hawaiians who became president. And I'll post that for you. Congress, the legislative branch of the federal government, is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Together, they are known as the United States Congress. The voters of every state elect 2 senators to the United States Senate, and the number of representatives depends on how many people live in their state. Ohio elects 19 members to the House of Representatives. But a small state like Vermont, for instance, elects only 1 representative because it's small. Senators serve for 6 years, and representatives serve for 2 years. The courts. The judicial branch of the federal government is headed by the United States Supreme Court. The president chooses the court's 9 justices or judges. Once chosen and approved by the Senate, they serve for life. These judges hear cases that come from the lower courts. They also decide whether laws that are passed by Congress agree with the United States Constitution. 9 Ohioans have served on the United States Supreme Court. One of those, William Howard Taft, was the only person ever to serve as both president and Supreme Court justice. The lower courts decide whether laws have been obeyed. If a person is accused of breaking the law, the courts ask a jury to observe the trial. A jury is a group of citizens that decide whether the accused person is guilty under the law. United States citizens who are 18 or older may be called to serve on a jury. Right? So there they are. There are the jurors. So I can tell you, I have served on a jury before, and it was really cool. All right? So after you read along with me, make sure you answer the Google form questions, okay? All right. Tadero, out.